Hi, I'm Eric Elstein. I'm here with John from Pieritz Brothers.
Howdy.
How are you?
Hanging in there.
Very good. Well, that's all you can do.
Yeah, after 1895, it's a long stretch.
Yes, indeed. Just had some few questions about the store itself and about your relationship to it.
Okay.
I just wanted to start with the idea of the moment you walk into Pieritz, it's clear that the store is making a statement, that you're not just going to come in here, grab what you need, and buy it. I just wonder what, in your words, what statement is the store making?
Well, it's sort of like not even as is, it's sort of as was. And at this point in the family business, we're holding on to that look that you, or the look or the feel of the whole ambience of the store is that you come in and you really experience it. You don't have to really buy anything, that would be nice. But to come in and bring the kids into an experience that's disappearing across the country, and we're trying to maintain it because we think it should be maintained, and trying to be viable at the same time. But every little nook and cranny of this place has sort of a story about it, and if it's gets a little bit or I forget it, I'll just make something up. So it all works.
Do people tend to ask about certain objects that they see in the store, in particular about the collection of typewriters that you have?
Well, yeah, a lot of people come in and they go like, oh, typewriters. And then they go in to talk to their kids about explaining what a typewriter was, when they used it. And then the kids, oh, Dad, really? And then one fellow just surprised everybody here by saying, but Dad, how do you put in the password? Go figure. I mean, I don't think that's ever been uttered in any context before, But yeah, we started collecting typewriters. And actually, Deborah, my sister-in-law, business partner, family person, came in with an old typewriter a long time ago. She saw it in a garage sale and said, "Oh, this would be cool because the store's old." And then people saw it and they said, "Oh, you like typewriters?" And they were everywhere. I mean, people would drop it off on my doorstep.
Once people saw typewriters, they started to bring in typewriters, and the collection just grew over the years. People donating pieces to the typewriter museum.
Well, this whole place is a museum. Lots of things have been dropped off with, there's a little thing, it's called it was a mechanical piece, very precise and very heavy. And we didn't know what it was, but he said we had it in his basement and he thought it would look good at our place. So we put it up on the shelf up there, and we found out that it was a bow making machine. Like when you went back in the days before Scotch tape and you went to Marshall Field's for Christmas, they would take this machine and have a ribbon on it, like a wrapping ribbon, and this mechanical thing would do a flurry of motions and make these beautiful little bows. And then you would stick it on your present, and that's the way it was. Well, it took us 6 months later, somebody brought in an instruction sheet that they had printed off of the internet, and then about 4 years later, I opted for the $9.95 to buy these little plastic pins to actually make it work. And we've got it working sort of now, but we were going to either put typewriter ribbons in it or old VHS tapes and make bows out of it, but that's something down the line. So, yeah.
Mentioning the reuse of those materials to make a ribbon that we typically consider to be made out of cloth or the shiny fabric. You walk around your store, you see other evidence of this reuse, this idea of reuse. You see sculptures and sculptural objects made out of, it seems like found materials, blow-ups of old signs and old signage. Even some of the, correct me if I'm wrong, but even some of the cabinetry seems like it's been cobbled together from other places.
Everything that we could without having to buy it, or at least Debbie is creative. So a lot of our little modules to put on the things that are in the window and some of the signage around up above here all came from a sign that used to be above the store, but in a storm it fell down. And we gathered up all the pieces, and of course they sat for 6 months, a year, and then Deborah cut them up and then repurposed these things into great signage. and other things that have been redone was back in the first Depression in 1927. The aluminum trim around the outside of the whole office area here was made from recycled milk cans from the farm. A gentleman came in and asked for a job, and he didn't. We couldn't employ him. There's no work for barely the family, but he was a carpenter, so he hand cut, hand hammered, and put together the whole sort of look of the store. Now it looks like vaguely Art Deco, and then that was in our store at Laramie and Lake. And then when we moved here in the 60s, it was completely disassembled by Deborah and Mr. Pieritz, and they all took it apart and then rebuilt it here in this location.
I noticed too, other than the sculptural objects and the signage made out of reused materials, specialty items such as cards and small posters. Are those made by yourself, by someone in the family?
Well, it seems like about everybody in my family has a hand in this. Deborah had some, she does all the sculpture in the store, and she made one project that was translated into cards. And then I do a lot of the other cards. They come from the farmers market, local neighborhood gardens, the typewriter collection we have here, old office supplies.
So these are photographs you take.
Well, photographs. They're into Photoshop, and they have their own little look. Another daughter, my older daughter, she does musical instruments and bicycle prints. And then my youngest daughter, Madeline, she's got a whole series now of handmade cards and bookmarks. So they're all, each one is an individual little treat, and they all are just, and my wife even had some photos, and she has a little Chicago series. So it's still a family operation, and they're very unique cards, and you'll only find them here. So
you had mentioned to me, we had a couple of conversations leading up to this conversation, and you had mentioned to me the phrase a tactile environment, that you wanted the store to be a tactile environment. I wondered if you could explain what you mean by that a little bit, and what's special about maintaining an environment.
Well, I think it sort of refers to the whole way that the not so much purchasing as an entity, but when you buy things online, you have a full selection catalog, and from A to B, you go down the pictures, and you can, sort of pick from that. If you know what you want, you shop for price, you get it there. Here, you're assembling things. It's like going into a hardware store. You have projects, and this relates to that. And this color of this paper, or this color of this pen relates to a journal. Now, putting that package together with actually somebody who has sort of experience in dealing with that, I think is a lot more informative and just fun. So you can come in here, and you don't really have to buy anything, but it's a treat to come back and look at all of the different things that are going on, because there's such an organizational malaise in this store, because it's a little bit of everywhere. If there's a place over there that we run out of, something else gets stuck in the hole. And so it's an adventure, and both Deborah and I, we still can't find everything, because she puts it there, I put it there, and then she went, like that. But it's a fun, it's fun. And the kids like it too. The kids like to play on the old typewriters.
Of course. So you want your store to be a place of discovery, more than, obviously people will come in, they have a very particular item in mind, they grab it and go, but you also want the store to be a space where the transaction can go a little bit differently. I've noticed, and you've asked me this question when I've come in to buy certain things, and I've heard you a couple times today ask this question: what are you going to use this for? Why do you ask that question of customers?
I'm nosy. but also, it's we want to encourage people to feel good about the store and get the right thing. But people will put something down on the counter, and they'll go like, okay, this is, and if you just let it go and they pay for it and walk out, okay, you've done a transaction. Often, because there's subtleties, because we've been around and we care about what's going on beyond. Not so much to know what it is, but that it works. Because when it works, you come back. So often I'll just do a little light question about, oh, is this going to be used in an inkjet printer? Or is this going to be used in a copier? Or are you going to do double-sided with this paper? Because it doesn't work double-sided, as I found out.
Yes.
I mean, I did index paper, and I printed on the front. I did 100 sheets. Tried to turn it on the back for a coupon. Couldn't do it. So, yeah, I'm curious. And also I want the experience to be good. And then often I can, say, well, this can be embellished with that, or just take a look at it, without, leading people on to something.
How does Pieritz help customers gain control over their transactions, more so than if they were to shop online or if they were to go to a big box store?
Well, a lot of it is the amounts we sell it in. And a big box store is a big box. The last transaction, which just happened before the interview, someone got 16 sheets of index stock at 8 cents each. That's it. I didn't say, well, no, you have to buy a ream at $14. 16 sheets of paper, it all helps. So they walk out with what they need, and so that's helpful.
As opposed to more than
you possibly need. Yeah.
So Pieritz Brothers was established in 1895. Have you been here since the beginning?
9 o'clock this morning, I think. But
that's a good start.
No, we were here before the Titanic. I mean, I did this whole comparison thing of the entities and times, and we were here before the state of Hawaii and the country of Iran. It's quite a situation when you look World War II, World War I, the beginning of the mechanical age with the whole introduction of typewriters. It was started a long time ago, and we're one of the few family-owned businesses, still family-owned, in office supplies in the country. Like maybe there's less than 1% that are still family-owned that are our age group, and we still have a lot of our customer base is changed. I mean, we have a lot of people. One person came in and he set it down on the counter, this beautiful fountain pen. And I was, he wanted to know a little bit about it, and I was describing it and saying that it was, vaguely collectible, and it was a beautiful specimen of the writing era. And I said, where did you get this antique? And he said, we bought it here at Pieritz. I'm seeing my own antiques. I mean, that's now we're our customer base. We would like to encourage younger people that don't. So we're a little bit off the beaten path here in Oak Park, but we don't have an online presence for sales. But you can certainly call up and look around, and we would like younger people to come in and just experience what we have here and help them put together whatever they want, or just for the experience to see what an old-time store like this was and still can be. So,
can they come in and get all their basic school supplies that they need at the end of every summer?
Right. We have a period of time that we have everything, and we're stocked totally with make all these little kids with big baskets full of stuff, and we send them on their way.
Every time I'm in the store, customers come in and they're buying legal documents. They might be buying promissory notes. They might be buying other forms of paperwork for agreements. I'm never in a store where people buy such things. But what's the most important legal document that you
Well, the one,
sell?
it's surprising, because we're one of the few little stores left that sells a document that's germane to the city and village where you're at. Like we have the City of Chicago apartment lease, the generic lease that's outside of the City of Chicago. It's very specific, and the problem is that generic leases, online leases, don't function that well in court if it ends up there. But a printed lease with all the terms and codicils for the City of Chicago, we're one of the few places that actually has that lease. And an amazing amount of people come from all over to get that one lease. I mean, they get on the train and come out here, and yeah, so it's surprising. It's unusual, but there really aren't that many available stores that have them.
Would you say that idea of there are not many available stores that have X, would you say Pieritz fills in that X quite a bit of times? If you need typewriter ribbon, for example, or ink for your old fountain pen, do you...
True. Typewriter ribbons we have, and we encourage you to rewrap your own if you have to, but...
I see a lot of bottles behind us, blue ink, a big bottle of Schaefer's old ink. There's a bottle here, I can't quite make out the label, has a yellowish liquid in there. What is that?
The one with the cork in it?
The one, yes.
The one with the cork in it. Okay. That's, a gentleman came in and laid it on the counter and says, "Here, I want you to have this." And I'm going like, "Well, thank you." And I said, "What is it?" And we could, the label is pretty well leached out, but it's a vaguely typewriter oil. And I was going, "Okay, that's nice. Thank you very much." And he says, "Well, I'm a chemist." And I analyzed it. And I was thinking, whoa, this gentleman has far too much time. But he told me what it analyzed, or what the makeup of this particular, it was a very old bottle. It turns out that it's actually whale oil, way before there was any problem with collecting whale oil. And it was used as a lubricant, and that was used for the typewriters. But it turns out that whale oil is one of the most superb lubricants that's ever, even better than the synthetic stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And it's very valuable, but since you can't get it anymore, nobody, wants it. I mean, they may, I've been trying to contact watchmakers in Switzerland if they want a couple of drops of it, to keep their things going for the next 300 years. But so it just sits up there in obscurity, and now it's not obscure anymore.
Nope.
So if you're looking for whale oil, come on down.